Hello my friends, to give everyone a quick introduction, this will be the first part of the video game creature Iceberg. Now, I'm sure if you're watching this video, you're obviously a based GigaChad. But if you are familiar with icebergs, you might have noticed that there actually isn't one for creatures of video games. This iceberg is actually all of my creation. And before I begin, there's two things I would like to go over. If you possibly think I missed a creature that you believe to be in tier 1, please feel free to put it in the comments. It's not going to upset me at all. This project I've started has been a lot more in-depth than I was thinking. I already have about 500 creatures and I'm still adding more while also trying to slim down the list. Other than that, let's go ahead and get right into tier 1. The Creeper. The Creeper is from a little game by the name of Minecraft. You may have heard of it. I probably don't have to explain to you what a creeper is. But a fair explanation for them is the rage you feel when one blows up your house while you're taking a sip of a Dr. Peppy. The Creeper was added into Minecraft in the pre-alpha version in 2009. Fun fact, when the Creeper was added to Minecraft, it was the result of a coding error when the devs were working on the pig mob. Elites. The Sangheili, or as we know them, the Elites from Halo. They are a Saurian alien race that first appeared in Halo Combat Evolved in 2001. Elites are a very strong, proud, and intelligent warrior race that makes up the backbone of the Covenant army.
We swore to uphold the Covenant, even to our dying breath.
The Sangheili, or Elites, were actually one of the first enemies to be developed during the production of Halo. The Elites, while having a very humanoid design, are on average much bigger than humans, standing around 7'4" to 8'6" at the top, and weighing anywhere around 310 to 390 pounds. Fun fact, the dialogue spoken by the Elites in Halo was made by reversing and slowing down clips of Sergeant Johnson. The Flood. The Flood from the Halo video games are the most dangerous and destructive force in the universe. They have been called dead reincarnated by the Forerunners, or parasites and infection by the Covenant. The Flood is a highly parasitic species that reproduce and grow by consuming sentient life forms. The Flood are so unstoppable and destructive that they are responsible for consuming most of the sentient life in the Halo galaxy. The Flood also share a single consciousness like a hive mind. The Flood was first introduced in Halo Combat Evolved in 2001. The height and weight of Flood organisms greatly depend on the host. Fun fact, the Flood first appeared in the Halo universe sometime before 107-44-5 BCE, when ancient humans came into contact with the special precursor dust. FYI, the precursors turned themselves into dusts, humans were irresponsible with it, and then the Flood got out of control. Goomba and Koopa. So technically we got a twofer for this one, but I'm pretty sure everyone knows who these two baddies are. The Goomba is the first enemy you face in the Mario franchise. They debuted in Super Mario Bros. In 1985. The Goombas, while being the first enemy you face, were actually the last enemy to be created during the development process. This was because game testers felt that the Koopas, being the first enemies you face, were actually too difficult. Fun fact, the Goombas race initially were allies with the Mushroom Kingdom, but turned traitor to join Bowser's army. Now the Koopas, the mainly green turtle humanoid creatures, also debuted in 1985 in Super Mario Bros., and they serve as the foot soldiers of Bowser's army. Fun fact, the Shell Creeper was the ancestor of the Koopa. The Ghosts.
I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
The Pac-Man ghosts, nicknamed Blinky, Pinky, Inky, and Clyde, are the reoccurring ghosts that are the main enemies of the Pac people. When Mr. or Mrs. Pac-Man eat the power pellets, the ghosts turn blue, allowing the player to eat the ghosts and then their eyes travel back to the center to respawn. Also, for some reason, I'm just now realizing that it's their eyes that are flying back, so I don't know. Imagine eating a ghost and their eyes fly out of you and then just respawn. Fun fact, Toru Iwatani, the developer of Pac-Man, wanted to make a game with cuter characters that would be much more appealing and family-friendly to children and women. So he made a game that you eat ghosts and their eyes fly out of you. The Locust. So for this one, we are focusing more on the singular species, as I feel they are known more of a whole than specific monsters. The Locusts from Gears of War first appeared in Gears of War 1 in 2006. They are genetically altered humans that have been mixed with emulsion and hollow creature DNA. They made their home in the Hollow after escaping from the New Hope research lab where they were made. All members of Locusts are bigger than humans. They have much heavier and much thicker bones, with a very muscular and thick-skinned hide. Even the shortest of the Locusts stand at least 6 feet tall, weighing over 265 pounds. Fun fact, in the Locust horde, the Berserkers are actually the females. Chocobo. The Chocobo from the Final Fantasy series is a large avian creature that started out as a galliform bird, a flightless bird. They are essentially the horses of the Final Fantasy universe. Chocobos were first introduced in Final Fantasy II in 1988. And while they started out as only having yellow feathers, as time went on, they've evolved into having multiple colors, with some colors making stronger breeds. For example, in Final Fantasy XIV Online, black chocobos can fly. The chocobo was created by Koichi Ishii, who first made a design for them in 10 minutes during a literal lunch break. Fun fact, Ishii's inspiration for the chocobo came from when he was a child and bought a chick at a festival. Ishii's parents eventually made him give up the chick, but he bonded with the chick so much, he kept that bond and memory alive into adulthood, thus being the inspiration for the creation of the chocobo, which is actually pretty cute.
You are gay.
Sonic the Hedgehog!
Sonic. Here's another one I imagine everyone is very familiar with. Sonic from Sonic the Hedgehog, who is literally a hedgehog with humanoid characteristics that can run faster than the speed of sound, which is why his name is Sonic. Naoto Oshihime, Yuji Naka, and Hirokazu Yashihara are the team behind the development of Sonic. They were tasked with making a mascot in 1990 for Sega to compete with Nintendo's Mario, back when the very first console war was happening. Fun fact, early designs of Sonic gave him fangs, and he was in a band with a human girlfriend named Madonna. Bubblehead Nurse. The Bubblehead Nurse is a creature introduced in Silent Hill 2 in 2001. She's a female humanoid that appears in a low-cut hospital nurse uniform, a lot of times seen with a weapon, and some big old titter tots. Anyways, the Bubblehead Nurse, while technically specific to Silent Hill 2, a lot of times just ends up being the name for the nurses throughout all of the series. Fun fact, since the nurses are a manifestation of James's subconscious, the suffocation from the masks and the twitching and jittering are a manifestation of James's memory when he smothers Mary with a pillow. Pyramid Head. The Pyramid Head also first appeared in Silent Hill 2 in 2001.
Got room for one more?
He is usually designed with a red helmet and can be seen wearing a butcher's attire or just being shirtless, usually carrying a large claymore-type sword. The Pyramid Head is by far the most popular creature of the Silent Hill series. Fun fact, Pyramid Head is the manifestation of James's guilt and the desire for punishment, making him relive his past actions. Rathalos. The Rathalos is a large, male flying wyvern from the series Monster Hunter, who first appeared in Monster Hunter 1 in 2004, and has since been in every single Monster Hunter game, typically being considered the icon of the Monster Hunter series. The Rathalos, while having different variants, is mainly red with black markings, covered in a spiny armored hide, able to breathe fire and poison the player with his tail. The Rathalos has a size of 11 to 22 meters in length, or 36 to 72 feet for all of us normal people. Fun fact: the first two creatures created for Monster Hunter were 001, the Rathian, which is the female counterpart of Rathalos, who was 002. Tyrant. The Tyrant is a human bioweapon created using the T-virus infection, meant to be the ultimate super soldier. First appearing in Resident Evil 1 in 1996. The Tyrants are much larger than humans, being anywhere from 7 to 12 feet in height, sometimes having extended claw arms with such great strength they can jump several stories high. Fun fact: the Tyrants actually have a huge variety of different classes, but they all still fall under the Tyrant specimen. Lady Dimitrescu, or Lady Mommy Vamp Milkers.
You disgusting outsider!
I don't think I have to explain why Miss Lady Dimitrescu deserves to be in Tier 1. But if you don't know, there are two very, very big reasons. And well, she's tall. Alcina Dimitrescu, or Lady Mommy Vamp Milkers, is a mutant human aristocrat who is a gigantic noblewoman with vampire-esque traits, appearing in Resident Evil Village in 2021. She was born sometime prior to 1914, before the Great War, into the noble Dimitrescu family. In the 1950s, she was surgically implanted with a Kadu parasite, resulting in her body growing considerably, where she stands at a whopping 9 feet 6 inches tall. By the way, this does technically include her heels. Fun fact: at some point in Lady Dimitrescu's youth, around the 1930s, she had a brief music career in the emerging jazz scene, where she went by the name Miss D. Reaper Leviathan. The Reaper Leviathan is the reason a lot of people have a fear of thalassophobia. The Reaper is a massive sea creature in the game Subnautica. The Reaper Leviathan has a long, muscular body with 4 caudal fins and 2 pectoral fins that measure up to 55 meters, or again, for all of us normal people, 180 feet. To put that into perspective, since us based Americans love to measure things with other things, a huge blue whale can get up to 110 feet. So a Reaper is almost double the size of the biggest blue whale. The Reaper Leviathan is believed to be modeled after an oarfish, which is pretty big itself, reaching lengths up to 56 feet. Or at least that's what we've found so far. Fun fact: apparently the Reaper Leviathan has been credited to being such a huge hit that almost 50% of the game's sales come from the popularity of the Reaper. Clickers. Clickers are the third stage of the infected from the video game The Last of Us, debuted in 2013. It's actually very impressive to me how big this universe has become. And just to add, I am definitely a Team Joel over Team Abby, so just wanted to make that clear. But the Clickers are by far the fan favorite. Humans with prolonged exposure to the virus, at least a year usually, start to develop into Clickers. Being much stronger than average humans now. The Clickers have their face split open from the cordyceps infection in the brain that renders them blind. The crude form of echolocation they use with the rapid clicking sounds is obviously how they got their name. Fun fact: while the fungal plates on their head render them blind, it actually offers more protection as it forms almost a shield around the brain, being able to take multiple gunshots. Slenderman. Slenderman is another one you've probably heard of once, twice, or 3 million times. Slenderman started off as a creepypasta from the author Eric Knudsen, or by his username Victor Surge, on the Something Awful forum in 2009. This is where he first posted pictures of Slenderman with short descriptions. It didn't take long for Slenderman to make his way into the gaming scene, being featured in multiple games, the first one being Slender the 8 Pages that debuted in 2012. In fact, it was actually so popular that when it debuted, the website crashed because of how many people tried to download it. Mr. Slenderman is a very tall, thin, humanoid creature with a featureless white face, wearing a black suit. He's often seen with waving tentacles or just simple arms. Fun fact, I once tried to fight Slenderman in the forest, but he was too scared and didn't show up to throw down because he knew once I hit him with that left jab, he was gonna be sleeping. Quick intermission, the next few creatures we're about to go over include some that are a generalization, for example like Pokemon, which definitely deserves to be in tier 1, but if I had to list out every Pokemon into the tiers, I would actually kill myself. Zombies! Well, I sure hope you've at least heard of zombies. I'm pretty sure it's required to be an American that you had to have at least had a fantasy of just murdering and blasting zombies with you and your boys. Zombies have been featured in countless games since literally the beginning of gaming. But I'm going to focus more on Call of Duty zombies as I think it's fair to say they are the most popular. The actual definition of zombies is a mythological undead creature created through the reanimation of a corpse. Now, zombies tend to come from Haitian folklore, but usually they're reanimated through magic or voodoo. Oh, I think that's just Helen Keller. The Call of Duty Zombies mode started in World at War from Treyarch as Nazi zombies in 2009, and pretty much since then has been insanely popular. And I mean, not to toot my own horn, but I did make it to round 101 on the map Ascension, but I also did kinda cheat because I paused the game for 2 hours, so take that how you will. Fun fact, I actually have a video planned that actually goes through the official zombie stories from the beginning, but I also have like 40 ideas planned, so. Orcs. For the Horde. Well, I actually never played Horde. I was a Night Elf Alliance Dark Knight back in the Wrath of the Lich King when, you know, WoW was still amazing. Anyways, orcs tend to have several different appearances with franchises, but usually they appear brutish, muscular, aggressive, and usually ugly type creatures. I mentioned that orcs tend to come in several appearances, such as in Lord of the Rings they tend to be shorter and smaller than humans, but in World of Warcraft they're always portrayed as bigger than humans and usually much stronger. Fun fact, orcs were originally thought of as having red skin, but moved to having green skin being much more popular in the 80s. Also, if you play Horde, you're gay. Elves. Elves, some would say, are the counterpart to orcs. They are another creature that have been featured in countless video games. Pretty much any fantasy RPG has at least some version of elves. Outside of that though, elves are usually seen as somewhat divine beings, being adept with magic and having supernatural beauty. Usually on the taller side and with thin muscular builds. They also tend to be either very long-lived or just immortal. Depending on the universe, there are several different types of elves. I would say the most popular are the High Elves, the Dark Elves, or the Woodland type elves. Fun fact, I talked about the 3 popular genres of elves, but in 1977 in the D&D Monster Manual, there were 5 types of elves: the High Elves, the Grey Elves, the Dark Elves, the Wood Elves, and the Aquatic Elves. Griffin, Griffin, Griffon. The Griffin, or Griffon, which are all technically right, are another creature you have probably seen in games like Dragon's Dogma, The Witcher, or even World of Warcraft. The Griffin is generally a legendary creature with the body, tail, and back legs of a lion, and the head and wings of an eagle with talons for the front paws. The Griffin, while believed to start somewhere east, was made popular in ancient Greece as protectors of treasure. Fun fact, My sister named her new baby Griffith, and I can only think of Griffith from Berserk. If you know, you know. Dragons. Dragons have to be the most popular mythical creatures in the world. You see them in Elden Ring, Monster Hunter, Skyrim, Spyro, Dragon Age. Dragons dominate video games, which, to be honest, I love dragons, so I'm not complaining. Also, before anyone says this, yes, I'm aware I'm technically mixing wyverns and dragons, but I think it's fair to put them together, except for a few exceptions, like the Rathalos I mentioned earlier. There tend to be two types of dragons originating from the west and east. Western dragons tend to be large, muscular, winged, and horned creatures, capable of breathing fire and being excellent at creating destruction. Whereas Eastern dragons a lot of times look like more a wingless serpent that are revered as godly, divine, or spirit beings that have high intelligence and are even worshipped. Fun fact: draconic creatures appear in virtually every culture around the world. Makes you think, huh?
Prepare for trouble!
I have something else. What? Just for you.
Pokemon. Pokemon. It's almost like a ritual growing up that you have to be obsessed with Pokemon. And well, let's be honest, some people don't grow out of that, but I'm not hating. What you may not know is Pokemon began in February of 1996 in Japan as Pocket Monsters Red and Green. Fun fact: Nintendo actually didn't want to support the idea from Satoshi Tajiri, having serious doubts about the success of the idea, but gave him the benefit of the doubt. Kinda wild to think there was a real chance we almost didn't have Pokemon. The Wendigo. The Wendigo and Wendigoon are insanely popular in today's modern media. Game devs love to throw the Wendigo into a game. The Wendigo is another one of those creatures that's become so mainstream that it has several different appearances. Generally speaking though, most Wendigo creatures possess humans that turn them into a violent creature with the desire to eat other humans. The most popular depiction of the Wendy stands at around 12 feet in height. They have very long limbs, and they look very thin, almost emancipated, but always possessing a much greater strength than humans. While being tall and thin, it's also become very popular to depict them with the deer-shaped heads that always include the antlers. Fun fact: the description I just gave is how most people view Wendigos, but if you just follow Native American folklore, they look much closer to the Until Dawn versions. But hey, I get it, the deer head makes them look so much cooler. Bigfoot. So, before we get to Bigfoot, I want to mention something real quick. After spending a lot of time on the research for this project, I have learned that there's pretty much a video game for every damn creature, animal creature, folklore creature out there, and trying to put every single one of them into this iceberg has made my little peanut brain about to crash and burn. Thus, I'm trying to only put the more popular general creatures, especially in the higher tiers, but as we go into the deeper tiers, all the creatures will be very specific, if that makes sense. But with all that yapping done, Bigfoot. Bigfoot is another big baddie that's wildly popular nowadays, and in tons of video games. Bigfoot has always been described as muscular, bipedal, human-ape mixes, covered in hair, standing anywhere from 7 to 9 feet in height, generally. Fun fact: Sasquatch-type creatures have been mentioned in almost every landmass in the world, all over North America, Asia, Australia, South America, and Africa. And of course, obviously everyone knows Antarctica is for the dinosaurs and the aliens. Skeletons. Skeletons are another general one, but another hugely popular creature that video games love to add. Especially in Elden Ring, since they make you kill them twice. Skeleton enemies, or I guess technically they are undead that raise skeletons, have been enemies in games from all the way to the 80s to current day. Now, they're usually hostile mobs, but I'm sure I don't have to explain this. If you're playing a necromancer character in RPG type games like Diablo 4, summoning skeletons as minions is also very common. Fun fact, skeletons were even popular back in the pen and paper days of D&D.
We too would become obsolete.
Vampires.
Because I lived for it.
If only they all looked like Kate Beckinsale. I don't think I really have to explain vampires. I'm sure some of you are already like, hey bro, we're not retarded, we already know what most of these generalized creatures are. But anyways, they are undead creatures who suck you off.
Or else I'll suck your dick, blood.
Vampires are another creature though that has been in games since the 80s, with the most popular series definitely going to Castlevania. Vampires vary in size just as any other humans, but if they can transform, they will usually transform into a bigger and a bit more spooky form. Fun fact, during the credits of the original 1986 Castlevania, the credits used pseudonyms for the creators, and because of this, the main dev for the first Castlevania series was mainly unknown. Nowadays, it's believed to be Hitoshi Akamatsu, but Hitoshi himself actually just fell off the face of the earth towards the late 90s, and the only information I could find of him was a short article in 2012, but despite saying Reddit that it is him, I actually couldn't verify this info. Werewolves. This needs to be said, werewolves are just all around better than vampires, and I always choose the werewolf ability in Skyrim with the companions. Werewolves, like vampires though, have been in games since the 80s. Altered Beast is one I feel like we've all at least heard of or played. Now, Castlevania, while being a bigger focus on vampires obviously, even has parts for werewolves. Also being able to play as a werewolf in Castlevania Legacy of Darkness and Castlevania Judgment. The size of werewolves definitely change depending on the universe, but on average, usually stand 7 to 9 feet in height and 400 to 700 pounds in weight. Every time I play Druid in D4, I always do Stormclaw just because I like to play as the werewolf. Based. Fun fact. Lycanthropy in the Elder Scrolls series was actually bestowed upon the followers of a Daedric prince named Hirusin, so it started as a Daedric gift. Diablo. Diablo, also known as...
like Spanish for like a fighting chicken. That's awesome, I know.
So Diablo, while meaning devil in Spanish, Diablo from the game Diablo is actually not the devil.
Little girls are the devil!
Well, I was actually coming out here to pick up a cupcake.
Diablo is one of the 3 great primevals, essentially the 3 most powerful demons in hell. Diablo spawned from one of the 7 heads of the great dragon Baphomet. Now, Diablo is the youngest of the 3 great primevals, but he was considered in terms of physical strength, the strongest and most dangerous out of all the primevals. Deckard Cain called him an artist of terror. Diablo stands somewhere around 13 to 14 feet in height in his regular red form. He is a big boy, but to Imperius he's just another demon to whoop the shit out of. Fun fact, most people recognize Diablo from his normal red appearance, but he actually does not have a specific design, as he can take the form of other creatures and men. Space Invaders. Another blast from the past is the aliens from Space Invaders appearing in 1978. I think it's easy to forget a game like this, but the aliens are still creatures and very widely known. The aliens come in 3 variants, with the small one resembling a squid, the medium resembling a crab, and the large one resembling an octopus. Fun fact, Space Invaders was a literal immediate success and grossed almost $14 billion, which if you include inflation is about $31 billion. Xenomorphs. One of the most well-known creatures outside of video games have transcended to be a staple in the video game universe itself. The Xenomorph is a creature that debuted in the 1979 film Alien. The technical description of xenomorphs are a hive-based parasitic, multi-stage life creature, with the outcome of their appearance being directly related to the host they infect. Probably the most famous game currently of xenomorphs is Alien Isolation, which, while being incredibly frustrating, is also quite terrifying at times. But the xenomorph aliens have been in games since the 80s. They are also probably in more games than you would even realize. Side note, does anyone remember this game on the PS2 called Alien vs Predator Extinction? I loved this game. Now granted, I was a literal child, but I would play it non-stop. While the appearance of xenomorphs is different, they are usually 7 to 9 feet in height, and roughly weigh 400 to 600 pounds in weight, with the queen usually being twice the height and weight. Fun fact, the term xenomorph was actually used in the movie Aliens as just a generic term for the creatures, but fans coined it as the official term, and producers and merchandisers have been using it since.
Xenomorph may be involved.
Excuse me, sir. A what?
A xenomorph.
Assholes and elbows.
Predator. The predators nowadays are almost synonymous with aliens. We know them as predators, but their actual name is the Yautja. They are depicted as large, sapient, humanoid creatures who possess advanced technology in a culture built around trophy hunting and challenging strong species for sport. They were first introduced in the Predator film in 1987, and like aliens, have become a part of the video game world, even sharing several titles with aliens in Alien vs Predator games. While even having a Predator game in 1987, unfortunately for the Predators, they have not been nearly as successful in the video game market like the aliens. The Yautja are over 7 feet tall on average and well over 500 pounds, especially in their armor. They are very similar to humans, but have a much greater aspect for muscle mass and strength, and can even live up to be thousands of years old. Fun fact. During the production of the Predator movie in 1987, the film had to redo the Predator suit because when they got actors on film like Arnold Schwarzenegger, or Jesse Ventura, or Carl Weathers, these guys were so jacked that they made the Predator look small. So they ended up having to hire Kevin Peter Hall to play the Predator, who literally stands at 7'2", to make the Predator seem more physically imposing because he was literally smaller than the actors.
Ooh. Arnie's in trouble.
Crash Bandicoot. Everyone has heard of Crash Bandicoot, and I don't think I have to explain him too much. He is, a bandicoot with human characteristics, but a lot of people don't know how he came to be. Crash started as a regular bandicoot and was genetically mutated by the main antagonist of the game, Dr. Neo Cortex. Crash first appeared on the scene in 1996 and was designed by Andy Gavin, Jason Rubin, and Charles Zimbalist. He was originally created to be a mascot for Sony to compete with Nintendo's Mario and Sega's Sonic. Fun fact, originally Crash Bandicoot's name was Willy the Wombat.
Prepare the female.
Yoshi! Yoshi! Yoshi. I really don't think I have to say anything about the Yoshi. He first appeared in 1990 in Super Mario World and has pretty much been a fan favorite since. He is my personal favorite from the Mario universe. Fun fact, Yoshi's saddle is actually his shell.
Soon we will arrive
Bowser.
at the Mushroom Kingdom!
Another one that really needs no introduction, Bowser appeared on the scene as the main antagonist against Mr. Mario in 1985. Bowser, in a nutshell, wants to capture Princess Peach, make her his queen, then conquer the world. So I guess you could say the guy has goals.
Of course she hates me.
Fun fact, when Miyamoto was designing Bowser, he actually first envisioned him as an ox, but people got it confused for a turtle.
In your honor. Lower the prisoners!
Kirby. He is short, pink, round, and he can put the hurt on you in Super Smash Bros. Kirby was first introduced in 1992 in Kirby's Dream Land. Kirby was designed by Masahiro Sakurai originally as a placeholder, but the blob sprite ended up growing on him, becoming the main protagonist. Fun fact, before Kirby got his name, he went by the name Popopo. Popopo. Pop. Okay. Alright, my friends, that concludes Tier 1. To let you guys know where I'm at, I'm working on the last tier of the actual Iceberg chart, and I'm currently editing Tier 2 of the video at the moment. But what I really want to say is thank you so much. If you took time to watch this video, or even just watch some of it, I seriously appreciate it. It actually means a lot to me, even if it's one person. Other than that, I love you all, and I hope everyone has a good week. Noble out.